With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Ready to start another great race in the Precision Racing League. Green flag flies, we're underway. Side by side, door to door contact. Incredible action here in the PRL. And they come together. After all the fighting, it ends in tears.
It's crunch time, everybody. It's the penultimate round of Precision Racing League's 2024 Season 2, the Super Formula Series here on Thursday nights on RaceSpotTV. What a race this is going to be. Home ground for these brilliant open-wheel race cars, and we will get ever closer to see who will be crowned the champion of this inaugural season of Super Formula Racing in one of iRacing's biggest independent leagues. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the comms box. Dustin Ollis is behind the scenes pressing all the buttons and bringing you these live pictures. Mark, I've been looking forward to this round since the start of the season. Suzuka, always an epic circuit, and I think these cars, epic is a good word to describe them too.
Oh, absolutely, Reese. These cars have been phenomenal all season long. Put on fantastic racing with close battles at each and every race we've been to so far. I plan on Suzuka being no different. However, it is going to be tough to pass here as these cars are really fast, and the passing zones are really few. So it's going to be a struggle for these guys to make passes, but that should just make everything all the more exciting.
It should indeed. Of course, round 8 being conducted tonight, and we've only got one round to go next week at the Circuit of the Americas. So if you want to catch the championship finale, mark May 23rd down in your calendar, May 24th if you're in my part of the world, in Australia or in Japan for that matter. Certainly been a fantastic schedule that we've run this season. And in the AM class, well, Jake Vasconcelos still holds on to the championship lead by some slim margins here from Blake Ziti. Only 5 points separating them. Only have to go back another 5 points to see Christian Jasper. Consistency has been key in this series, so it's been interesting to see just how close these AM standings have remained.
Yeah, I mean, tight battles all throughout the field. Just a few points here and there, only 10 points separating the top three. I mean, this is exciting stuff, Reese. This is what we all signed up for to broadcast and watch. And with this race and one more to go, it's going to be exciting to see who pulls it out at the end.
Indeed. In the pro standings, Michael Diaz is the championship leader by a great margin over Boris Ovando, his teammate at Precision Racing Esports Blue. Diaz is the only driver to have finished in the top 3 in every round so far this season. Let's see if he can continue that streak here at Suzuka. He's certainly looking good for it. Closer, further down, As we get to the overall standings, we see that Vasconcelos is 7th overall. In fact, it's only the top 6 in the championship overall that are pros. So the AM drivers have been doing quite well here. There's been a few standout performers in that category.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, the last several weeks, there's been the championship contenders catching themselves into either crashes or self spins or whatever kind of mistake or issues that they're having, and it's caused this championship fight to really take a turn. And so we've had comers and goers all season long, and it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, Michael Diaz has been the picture of consistency, and the same could be said for Precision Racing Esports Blue, who lead the team's championship coming into this final round. And, if they get another good result tonight, they will lock it in over SRTE White. SRTE Blue also some ways behind. They are under threat from Lavoie Motorsport for 3rd place in the team standings. Aside from that, we're seeing some pretty big gaps between teams. Maybe Destino and YS Motorsports for 5th place will have some changes made in this round, but not holding my breath for that. We'll have to wait and see. There's so much racing to come here at Suzuka, and of course it's brought to you by many great sponsors here at the Precision Racing League. First off, of course, owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. If you're a PRL member, you also get a 5% discount on ASR products. Just use the Precision5 coupon code at checkout on advancedsimracing.com. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount there too. Just enter the code PRECISION5 at checkout. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. Moradness.com for more information. Go to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to check them on the socials. Also got a Discord server as well. Mr. Hedge, iRacing Photography, weekly roundups of screenshots in the PRL Discord. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Go to mrhedge.co.uk for more information. He's also on Facebook and Instagram. And last but not least, get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Threads. They are everywhere you care to look. Fantastic stuff. Bringing us the action here in PRL Super Formula. And as we're in the middle of the qualifying session at the moment, Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, currently the fastest car in the session, on top of the standings, but only by 100th of a second over David Sirrar for Lavoie Motorsports. Victor Awad also in the top 3. There's been big improvements from those guys in the mid-phase of the session. Our championship leader, Michael Diaz, currently down in 7th. Oh, okay. That's a big improvement there from David Sirrar. And he manages to get provisional pole position for his troubles. J.R. Williams is currently 3rd place in the championship, of course, and he's had some bad luck this season, Mark, but he'll be trying to get the best result he can here in the final 2 rounds of the season as Brett Thurman manages to secure 11th place there. Boris Ovando also out on track at the moment, trying to get up there with his teammate.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough sledding for these guys. It looks like a lot of people have marked this date on their calendar and really put into practice. So we're not seeing the usual crowd up in the top 3 spots as far as Diaz, JR, and Ovando. So it's really good to see a different mix with David on pole currently and Pablo in 2nd with Victor in 3rd. And yeah, I'm enjoying this fresh look at the top so far.
Yeah, I certainly am too. It's very nice indeed. Alex Guyon, part of the Lavoie Motorsports squad with David Syrah. He's a little bit further down the standings as Kevin McPherson for YS Motorsports is trying his best here to get to the end of the lap at Suzuka. Teammate to AM Championship leader Jake Vasconcelos. That's a nice improvement for McPherson. He will get into the top 10 and close to Vasconcelos there, who sits in 8th spot. Sean Duhamel for Viking Hot Rods Racing also in the session at the moment, and making sure that he can at least get around the 200R complex down to Spoon Corner. There's so many difficult corners around this place where mid-corner speed is key.
Yes, mid corner speed is key, and also the line you use is key as well. And particularly Spoon Corner. I myself have gotten that corner wrong more times than I've gotten it right. It is just so tough to get the line correct each and every single lap around this track, but it just makes it so much more entertaining for us as viewers, and the challenge is just phenomenal there for the drivers.
Yeah, and I think if you're interested in being a part of the challenge yourself, Mark, some good news coming out of Precision Racing League in the last couple of weeks. Sign-ups are open for next season.
Yes, they are. For returning drivers, they are currently open right now. So if you are a current member of the PRL and want to race in any of the 9 different series that we offer, go ahead and sign up. And for you new drivers or prospective drivers that are out there watching, sign-ups for you guys will open up this Sunday, and you can sign up and be out there on track and be part of the conversation. Come out here and challenge these guys, and you can show them up if you have it in you. So come on out and join the PRL.
Indeed, precisionracingleague.com is the website, and there will be links to the Discord on the website as well. Frankie Arvello, meanwhile, making his way around here on another lap. We've seen good improvements from a few drivers. Boris Ovando securing P6 there, as it looks like J.R. Williams has made improvements as well. Arvello is up a second and a half on his current lap. 138.4. Well, it's going to be probably drawing into the top 10, maybe. It's good enough for 11th. 1 second off the pace at the moment. But that's a good improvement there for Arvello.
It's a great improvement for Arvello. Just slightly outside of the top 10 currently. Seeing David Sirot on the screen right now, our current pole sitter. See if he can put in a quicker lap than he already has.
Yeah, indeed. David has shown great pace here at Suzuka. Of course, this is an open setup series, so that's probably not going to bode well for the rest of his lap. That looks like one of the SRT blue cars that's had a bit of a problem there at the hairpin. Cristobal Valenzuela, meanwhile, he's had some good results this season so far. Currently down in 18th place in the session. Cristobal currently sits in 10th place overall in the championship and 4th in the AM standings. He stands to potentially gain some here on our AM top 3 if he has a good result tonight. Down in 18th, though, he's looking for some improvements with less than 5 minutes remaining in the session. Out of the final corner and across the line, it will be a 138.0 for him, and that will only gain him 1 position up into 17th spot. If he wants to try and get up towards the top of the AM class, he's going to be looking for something around 1.5 seconds or thereabouts, maybe 1.2. We'll have to see on that. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, meanwhile, well, he was on provisional pole when we went into the session, but there's some big dramas there ahead of him. Big crash coming through 130R. Looks like Evander Jonesy-Field was the car that made a mistake there, so hopefully that hasn't distracted Pablo as he makes his way to the line. He's missed out on improving by 0.5 of a second. Well, he's got time, crucially. A lap around Suzuka takes about 1.5 minutes, and drivers will be able to get 3 more laps in if they have the fuel.
Yeah, relatively commonplace lap times here as far as different tracks and whatnot. Just over 1.5 minutes. is what you see at a lot of tracks. And so, yeah, just a couple more laps, 2 or 3 here, depending on when you come out and start your flying lap. But plenty of time for these guys to improve if they can. And getting a quick replay here of Evander Jonesy Field and his incident. Looks like he just clips that inside curve and kapooey.
Yeah, 130R is flat out in these cars, but you've got to be careful not to take too much of the curb, otherwise you're going to be sent off like that. Very stiff suspension required for this circuit. So many fast corners involved, and you need to be running a lot of downforce to get the maximum speed through the S's, through Spoon, and 130R as well. Jeff Groff having a much more sedate time through 130R. Jeff is up in towards the top of the AM standings himself, so he's got a lot to gain here if he can nail this lap. 137.2, the time to beat, but it's not going to happen this time. And looks to me like he'll immediately go back to the pits and come back out for one more run. Michael Diaz, meanwhile, well, championship leader. He's finished on the podium in every round so far, currently down in 9th. The Precision Racing Esports cars, they are having some problems here in qualifying. Diaz and Ovando just haven't been able to get laps in that they're happy with.
Yeah, they're currently pictured down outside the top 5, and I'm curious if they're running separate setups again this week like they have been the last few weeks. But if you recall, Reese, last week when we spoke to Michael on the podium interview, he was just going to take it easy and make sure he finishes the race, doesn't want to compromise his championship by crashing out.
Yeah, well, he did make an improvement on that lap up to 3rd, so we'll be happy with that. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe won't be happy with a lock-up into the hairpin there. And that's going to cost him some crucial time. The current fastest time to beat is a 136.2, and Victor Awad is only 0.06 of a second off matching that, so we'll see what he can do coming into the hairpin here. Stick to the inside on the power as straight as you can. Get the best run through 200R, this flat-out, never-ending right-hander on the way up to Spoon, which is one of the most difficult corners on the track. You mentioned, Mark, that you can never get it right. Same for me. It's so difficult to pick your line through here, and Awad may have run wide there, but it's not always the end of the world if you're wide of the apex there at Spoon.
No, it sometimes works out better for you. Sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on what your entry is, and whether or not you can keep that momentum going. But coming through the chicane here, Victor Odd's going to be hard on the power on the exit, trying to maximize his lap time here, and he's going to cross. Oh, a little bit of wheel spin.
Oh,
wow.
No.
And
that's ruined the lap right at the end.
Yeah, just going to go ahead and call it. Wow. And for anyone that was watching IndyCar practice today, he almost pulled, I forget what driver it was, but they hit that pit entry wall, unfortunately. So he almost did the same thing here at Suzuka.
Indeed he did. It's a real shame to see. So there won't be much of a challenge here for David Syrah. It looks like Diaz is currently out on a lap right now, but we'll have to wait and see if the SRT white car here way off pace there for, I believe that's JR Williams that's come to the end of the lap there. So we just wait and see if there are any improvements from drivers coming to the end of the lap. At the moment, Cristobal Valenzuela down in 16th at the moment. He's making steady improvements here at the end of the session, but he needs a couple more tenths to break into the top 15.
Yeah, currently his fastest lap, a 37.772. A couple more tenths. Let's see. Looks like about five tenths, a half a second will get him into the top 10.
He is not going to commit to the end of the lap.
Yep.
So Hugo Galaz is the only driver that's even close to finishing a lap here, it looks like. I believe Diaz is potentially pulled out and he's on an in-lap right now, so we'll have to wait and see. for Hugo Galaz to see if he can improve on 19th spot. If he can gain 2/10, then he'll be able to overcome Neil Alexander for 18th place through the Casio Triangle at the end of the lap. Don't use too much of the curbs there. It really unsettles the suspension in these cars. Running wide out of the last corner, and a 1:38.7 will not be an improvement for him. And with that, looks like everyone has finished their laps. So very shortly we'll be able to go through the grid for this race, and we can do it right now. Amazing job from David Sirard for Lavoie Motorsports. He'll start on pole position alongside Victor Awad. Michael Diaz will start in third. Crucial stuff there for the championship leader, with Pablo Valenzuela Uribe joining him on row 2. Steve Baker, again, head and shoulders above the rest of the AM class on pace. He'll start alongside third place in the series, J.R. Williams. Oh yeah, okay,
Sorry.
all right. We had a bit of a glitch there, but Ovando's going to start in 7th alongside Andres Espinoza, who makes a return to the series. Eric Palacio and Jake Vasconcelos will round out the top 10, and Mark, Frankie Arvello, and Jeff Groff will round out our top 12.
And lucky number 13 is Kevin McPherson with YS Motorsports. 14th is Alex Guyan. 15th, Brett Thurman. Cristobal Valenzuela coming home in 16th, or coming to the grid in 16th, I should say. Christian Jasper in 17th. Neil Alexander is going to pull up alongside him in 18th. Hugo Galaz in 19th. Sean Duhamel in 20th. Evander Jonesyfield in 21st. Dave Peterson 22nd. And Andrew Ellis and Barry Cochran is going to ride shotgun on the field for your final entrance of tonight's Suzuka Grand Prix.
Yeah, solid 24-car field making the start here at Suzuka. Question is how many of them are going to survive lap 1. A very aggressive entry into turns 1 and 2 here, with a long run into that sweeping first turn. There's going to be a lot of jostling for position, I'd imagine, especially coming through the S's, but we'd expect them mostly to be in single file by the time they get to Dunlop Curve on the way to the Degner Curves. All right. Waiting for the time to tick down. Everyone is on the grid at the moment, just waiting for the lights to come up. This is going to be a massive race indeed. This is crunch time for many of the drivers here. Remember, you can't drop the result of the final round from your championship score. So this is the last opportunity for drivers to, if they make a mistake, they can pull out without much problems. Here we go then. Lights up. Revs rise, and away we go for round 8 of PRL Super Formula. Brilliant start from J.R. Williams, as Pablo Valenzuela Uribe did not nail the standing start. He falls down to 11th by the time they get into turn 1. Sirard is going to lead on the way out of the first turn here. Awad defending from Diaz for second, as it looks like it's been a reasonably clean start for the field. No big contact, no crashes, so far at least.
And David already pulling out to a 5-car length lead, which is just fantastic for him, as he does not have to worry about any defense right now on this opening lap, which is critical for the rest of the race.
Down into Degner for the first time and sweeping up to the hairpin. Sirard getting a great run, of course, through the opening sector, but it seems like Awad and Diaz are starting to catch him a little bit here coming into the hairpin. I think I saw it was Jeff Groff, I believe, running a little wide in the hairpin there, but he manages to maintain the position as they come into Spoon for the first time. Seems like the real battle is for 4th on back. Pablo Valenzuela was in 4th, he's fallen down, and Steve Baker currently occupies that crucial 4th place. He's being chased down by J.R. Williams and Boris Ovando. Boris making up some good time there. Eric Palacio gaining 2 spots. Most positions gained, though. Andrew Ellis down in the field in 20th. He is up 3 places from where he started. That is lap 1 of a projected 28 laps complete. Of course, there is a time limit in this race of 45 minutes. Remains to be seen whether we'll go time certain or not.
Yeah, and you mentioned the big movers. Well, unfortunately, the big losers are Neil Alexander at losing 5 positions on the start, and Pablo Valenzuela losing 6 positions from 4th down to currently 10th place on the grid. So they're going to be looking to fight back and try and regain those spots that they started in. But right now, just currently single file throughout the field, and everyone just trying to size everybody up to see where and when they can make a move.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the top of the show, Mark, it's going to be very hard to pass around here. These are high downforce cars and plenty of fast corners around this place. Aero wash and dirty air is going to be a big problem for drivers here tonight. This corner, the hairpin, is one of the prime overtaking spots on the circuit. You'll also probably see moves happening at Spoon and into the final chicane, into turns 1 and 2 as well. Here we are on board with JR Williams as he tries to make his way past Steve Baker. He was gaining coming out of the hairpin, but Baker will be steadfast through Spoon, and now Williams will fall under pressure from Boris Ovando. Let's see what Boris can do here. If you get a slipstream in this part of the straight, you won't be able to do anything about it until after you go through 130R. This turn here, as Ovando is massively pacey here through 130R. He tries up the inside of the hairpin, but Williams will go deep and keep the position. This is really helping Steve Baker. It's not doing Boris Ovando any favors. Eric Palacio on overtake now to make the move on Ovando as it's almost 3 wide back in the field. Kevin McPherson versus Frankie Arvello and Jeff Groffen. Up the inside of turn 1 will go Eric Palacio, and Ovando will be put back down to 7th.
Yeah, great move from Eric there to use the overtake down the front stretch to get that move done. He was a little too eager with JR going into the chicane, and that's what backed him up to Eric, and Eric had a good run, and, well, Bob's your uncle there, Reese. It's all over for that fight currently.
Yeah, seems like it's all over for the second place battle as well. Michael Diaz has not been able to keep up with Victor Awad so far. Awad and Syrah are jetting away from the rest of the field right now, holding on solidly to their top 2. Diaz in a bit of no man's land there in 3rd, as into the hairpin. It looks like that's Arvello that's made his way past Kevin McPherson there. Arvello now up into 11th spot. McPherson losing 1, but he's still up 1 from where he started. Could he make it up 2? He was on a great run there through 200R, but he'll have to stay behind here on the way through Spoon and up the back straight. I'll be interested to see how many drivers will be using the overtake system of these cars early on. I've seen hints of a few of them using it. You won't be able to see it too easily, but if you're new to Super Formula, there's a green light above the drivers' heads on the airbox. If it's flashing fast, then that means the driver is on push to pass, and that is exactly what Ovando is doing here, trying to get back past Eric Palacio into turn 1 and sends him off. Eric Palacio getting centered there coming into turn 1. He won't be too happy with that.
Oh, he will not be happy at all, and he's just going to go ahead and tow it. Didn't even try to get the car going back in the correct direction, just said, well, that's race over for me currently. Unfortunately, Boris looks like he just sent it in there a little too. Oh, and another car spins going around the corner there.
Williams.
Right in the middle of the field. It's J.R. Williams. That's just devastating for his hopes at trying to advance himself in the championship. Oh my goodness, these guys are close to him. Put it in reverse, Terry. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was right in the middle of Dunlop Curve. That was disastrous for JR Williams, and he'll be glad that no one else cleaned him up. Unfortunately for JR, he did that all by himself. Seems like he was burning up the tires a little too much. This is a replay of Ovando versus Palacio here. Ovando was, well, he had overlap coming into turn 1, but maybe not enough for Palacio to really react in time, and maybe Ovando would have been better advised to back out of that. Such a shame. Palacio was running so well.
Yeah, looking from this angle, it looks like maybe Palacio came down a little bit onto him. I don't know entirely if that's what happened, if he maybe got caught out by Boris into that corner. But super unfortunate for Palacio. He had a superb run going so far in this race.
Yeah, certainly did. Well, we will say goodbye to Eric Palacio for the time being. Maybe if he can get that damage repaired, he'll be able to get back out. That's what happened to J.R. Williams. And Andres Espinosa, his teammate, was threading the needle there on the outside. Williams had no choice but to let the rest of the field go. Impossible to recover the car while the field's going by through that section. So J.R. Williams is now all the way down to 23rd, last running car on the track at the moment, and well, he'll have all the world ahead of him to try and conquer to get back up through this field. No pit stops in Super Formula. This is Espinosa's view of the incident, and oh, this was close.
Code Brown moment for Espinosa. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah, especially when it's your teammate. That's oh goodness, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy there. Well, yeah. We'll keep our eyes peeled on Cristobal Valenzuela, who's up into 14th place, and he's holding off Christian Jasper, Hugo Galaz, trailing behind them. Got Jonesy Field and Ellis up behind as well, but I don't think they're going to be too much of a factor in this battle. Valenzuela has to be careful not to use too much of that curb on the outside there. The light-painted AstroTurf there, the light green, there's no grip on those sections of the track. The battle for P4 is starting to gear up as well. Steve Baker's still holding on to it. Ovando, who seems to have gotten away from that incident with Eric Palacio without any damage, is starting to gain on his PRE stablemate.
Yeah, it's a PRE 3-4-5 currently between the two different PRE teams. And Steve, you know, the last few weeks has really been coming on strong in these races. Unfortunately, had a bit of an issue with J.R. Williams last week at, I'm drawing a blank of what track we were at there, Reese.
We were at Algarve, Portimao.
Algarve, yes. Thank you for that. And, yeah, he just unfortunately missed his breaking point, got into the back of JR last week, which just compounds JR's issues for this week with him having that little self-spin. But Steve has really come on strong as far as his pace in the race.
Yeah. Oh, that's deep there for Ovando.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. He had to gear up out of it, and that's Andres Espinosa that's been caught in Boris Ovando's claws there, flipped onto his roof. That is going to be the end of the race for Espinosa and Ovando. That is crucial there for the top positions in the championship. Remember, Ovando is running in second in the championship, but tell you what, Syrah currently in the lead, fourth in the championship. Both J.R. Williams and Boris Ovando suffering issues in this race. This could be the chance that Syrah has to rocket himself up into the championship top three.
And just like that, everything changes. Oh my goodness, in the blink of an eye, Reese, this is nuts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is.
I mean, Boris's chances are just shattered right now at the championship as we get a quick replay on board of Espinosa of that incident. Oh, Boris just hard on the brakes trying to avoid his other teammate, and while trying to back his car up, just keeps collecting Espinosa, and unfortunately Espinosa flips over. Just a wild situation as we see Brett Thurman and Pablo Valenzuela battling it out right here.
Yeah, Pablo's steadily making his way back up through the field, isn't he? He was all the way down to, I think, around 12th, 13th place. He's broken back into the top 10 now. Remember, he has top 4 running pace, so let's see what he can do as we check out once again another angle here. Watch Pablo. He had to get on the brakes and come to a complete stop there. I mean, he was on the verge of getting back into the top 4 there, just didn't place his car right in the moment, and I certainly don't blame him for that. It's difficult when there's an incident like that happening in front of you.
Yeah, unfortunately, his only other option would have been to go wide into the dirt, and he probably would have lost the same amount of spots going that way too. So just making the smart move, coming to a stop to avoid the wreck, and making sure his car was good and not damaged.
Indeed. Well, now Vasconcelos and Arvello find themselves battling for a top 5 position. Remember, Vasconcelos is the AM Championship leader, so he needs to have a consistent race here. He needs to stay out of trouble. If that means giving up a spot to Arvello on the way, maybe he'll have to get that done. But Vasconcelos still holding on to the position. They're very close on pace. The only place Vasconcelos really has an advantage, though, is Sector 2. Arvello is starting to round him up.
Yeah, and even that advantage is only 1/10 of a second, so very tight between these two drivers in all aspects of this racetrack, which just means we're going to have fun watching them battle it out. So currently coming out of the S's here, this is where JR lost it just a few laps ago. Oh, another driver loses it right behind him. Oh, more contact. No. Was that Jasper, I think?
Kevin McPherson and Jeff Groff, I believe, were the cars involved there. Oh, yeah, Groff with damage, and he's off in Degner, actually taking the original line through those corners. But it looks like he's going to pull back to the pits there. That's such a shame for Jeff Groff. And McPherson has only just managed to get going here. Pablo Valenzuela, meanwhile, back down to 7th spot. He's trying to gain further on those positions after having to park it for that incident between Espinosa and Ovando. He's under a lot of pressure now from Alex Guillon and Brett Thurman.
Yeah, nice little 3-car battle here between Thurman, Guillon, and Valenzuela. Coming through the chicane here. Pablo's going to lead him out of the chicane as we get a replay here of Kevin McPherson here. Same thing as JR. It looks like he just loops it. And Jeff Groff just barely tagging him on that front end, ripping his nose off. Otherwise, it doesn't look too bad for Jeff Groff, but I believe he went ahead and went to the pits as well.
Yeah, he did tow back to the pits, it seems. So, yeah, Jeff Groff, I think, out of the race now. Evidently, there wasn't too much in the way of visual damage, but it might have hurt the suspension of the car some. Let's see what happened to Groff here. So, yeah, he slows down. He just clips the front end, and you can see already that the steering wheel is off there. So, definitely suspension damage.
Yeah, that's not an easy car to drive on a track like Suzuka. So, yeah, did the smart thing, pulled off into the pits, tried to get it repaired, and see if he comes back out later in the race.
Indeed. Yeah, well, our retirements list has gone down one, actually. Eric Palacio has made his way back out onto the track after spending 5 minutes in the pit lane. Arvello making the pass on Vasconcelos into the top 5, coming into Spoon, and doesn't look like Vasconcelos fought that one too hard. Now he can stick in the slipstream of Arvello and try and secure a top 6 out of this. Have to keep an eye out for Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, though. Look at how close he is behind them. This is how Arvello did it, and it's at the hairpin where he really made the move. Fantastic stuff. Just aggressive move up the inside. Vasconcelos gave him room, remained side by side through 200R, and it looks like Arvello completed the move into Spoon. I think, yeah, Vasconcelos just recognizing that the battle was over there, and now he can try and get a consistent finish from here.
I got to be honest with you, Reese. I don't think Frankie was going to fully send it up the inside there on Jake. I think it was just enough to see Frankie coming that quick behind Jake, and it startled him a little bit to where he ran a little bit wider just out of caution, and that's what allowed Frankie to come through.
Yeah, looks like that's the case. This battle for 14th is still on as well. Jonesy Field versus Duhamel and Peterson. Dave Peterson trying in the Viking Hot Rods machine to get past Duhamel. Let's see what he can do coming out of the S's. Not much chance of making a move into Degner 1, and he's very wide of the curb there. It's difficult to pick the line through that kink. The curbs are very harsh in that section of the racetrack, which plays havoc with these cars. So he'll have to stay behind through the hairpin and try and find a way past, maybe down the back straight.
Yeah, this track would be extremely difficult for me in these Super Formula cars just because I'm so used to just attacking the curbs in a GT3 car. But, yeah, the trick is staying off the curbs as much as possible in these cars because they will throw you around like crazy.
Yeah, indeed they will. I certainly wouldn't want to be in a rig, a motion rig with a direct drive wheel in these things, because man, that would play havoc with my joints. This is super close fight, isn't it? Neil Alexander is starting to gain on these guys behind as well. It's now a 4-car fight for 14th place in this race, and aside from this battle, the only other battles are between Guyon and Thurman, and then the three-way between Arvelo, Vasconcelos, and Valenzuela. So it looks like for the front of the field at least, the race has calmed down now, but it's the opposite of calm for the likes of Peterson and Duhamel. They've got a very quick Neil Alexander trying to make up spots.
Yeah, Neil, one of those drivers that lost out on the opening stint of this race with the standing start, lost 5 positions right there off the bat, so he's trying to recover those spots as well. And he's doing a decent job of it so far. I believe he was down in 20th after the initial start, so has gained 5 spots back. Likely due to some car crashes, but you know, you take them where you can get them, Reese. That's the name of the game here.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if you look behind him, look who's here now. J.R. Williams, who's recovered from his spin and he's on overtake. He wants to get past Neil Alexander and back up into 17th spot. He's got a long way to go as J.R. Williams to get a result out of this race. But he will at least get 1 position here into Spoon. He's going to be very aggressive on overtake. Remember that you've got 200 seconds worth of extra power to use over the course of the race. Got to wait 100 seconds in between applications of it, but you can hold it down for as long as possible. Now Vasconcelos is down a further position. It looks like Pablo Valenzuela Uribe has made his way past. He has the fastest lap, and this is how he made the move at 130R of all places. He's on overtake and made the move incredibly there.
That was a bold statement right there, saying, I ain't scared, are you? And, well, gladly they both made it through, but you saw who was scared and who wasn't.
Yeah, J.R. Williams again using overtake to make the move on Dave Peterson, and well, he'll move himself up behind Jonesy Field now. He's on recharge, has to wait 100 seconds before he can use overtake again, and I think it'll be yeah, when they go through the S's on the next lap, he'll be able to use it next, but he'll have to wait for one of the straights here to really use it. But Williams is so much faster than all of these guys. Williams running something around 2 seconds faster than Jonesy Field on the last lap. Has to look out behind because Duhamel almost cleaned him up in the hairpin there. But again, seeing that Williams is a lot more confident on his throttle application than Jonesy Field is, but Evander's going to go defensive into Spoon here. Can Williams do it around the outside? Oh, he almost had it, but Jonesy Field will come back at him at the second apex, and Williams has to compromise. He'll stick in the slipstream down the straight here.
Yeah, and seeing here in the draft, JR ever so slightly faster, gonna do the same thing Pablo did and send it in on 130R. Jonesy Field going a little bit wide, but gathers it back up.
Yep, Jonesy Field will lose the position to Peterson there. So Peterson now up into 16th place. Williams back up into the top 15. He's got a long way to go to try and catch Sean Duhamel, who's taken advantage of all of this battling and has a solid gap there in 14th place. But J.R. Williams is coming. He's one of the fastest drivers in this series. It's just luck hasn't fallen his way. Meanwhile, Neil Alexander still at the back of this pack, and you know, despite the pace he's obviously shown, he's had a bit of trouble. He doesn't have as much of a pace difference to these guys as Williams did, so he's having to work a lot harder to get these positions.
Yeah, and you know, you would have thought he'd maybe tried to come through the pack there with JR, but at a track like Suzuka, timing is everything. If you're not in the right spot to be able to make a move when you need to, you're going to have to sit back and just wait until that opening comes back around. And it can be super frustrating. It can cause you to overdrive the car and, you know, really use up your equipment. And unfortunately, it could just compound your issues as JR lines up another move right here into Spoon Corner. looks like he's going to wait for the exit and get that draft.
Yeah, he almost had the overlap on Duhamel, but couldn't quite make the pass into Spoon. So now he'll move past on the way into 130R. Well, how hard will Duhamel fight this? Almost wheel to wheel there at the entry to the corner, but nice and easily done for JR Williams. Now he's got a long way to go, something around 3 seconds or so to get up to Cristobal Valenzuela in 11th. It's possible that Williams will be able to get into the top 10 from here. You know, we have we're basically at half race distance now, and considering the pace that he's got, yeah, I think a top 10's definitely on the cards for JR Williams if he can keep the pace up and avoid mistakes.
Yeah, that'll be the key, avoiding mistakes right there. I agree with you, Reese, 100%. If you didn't say it, I was going to, but I definitely think a top 10 is definitely on the cards for JR if he can just keep it gathered in the right direction and keep hustling down the track. His next victim up the road is Andrew Ellis, about 3.6 seconds, it looks like.
Yeah, seems that way. We haven't been able to take our eyes away from this battle for 15th now. Duhamel doing a great job of holding on to the front of this, and the big question is, can Neil Alexander get himself into this pack? He's steadily been faster than these guys on average over the last run of laps, but just seems stuck behind Jonesy Field at the moment. Isn't able to do much.
Yeah, it's like at the times where you need to be able, or the spots you need to be able to make the pass, he's just not close enough. He seems to, fall back at the wrong times and catch up at the wrong times. So he's got his timing off. He needs to work on that timing to be able to get those passes done as we move to Pablo Valenzuela, trying to attack Frankie Arvello here, only 4/10 off of Frankie.
Yeah, indeed. Valenzuela has taken the fastest lap back from David Sirah and is now looking for a run into the top 6. And as we check out how much faster he is here than Frankie Arvello, that's a massive gap between those two. I just want to highlight JR Williams again, as trying to use overtake there was Uribe. Williams actually hasn't gotten away from that 15th place pack as much as I thought he would, because he had a slide through Spoon, unfortunately for him. So he's managed to gain back the car straightness and consistency, but yeah, evidently still making a couple of mistakes a few times as we check out what happened to him. Just running too wide through Spoon, catches the curb and has to get on the brakes there, and he was almost rounded back up by the pack he just made his way through.
And move back to Pablo right now, coming for a move into 130R. Gets it done before the kink. And yeah, really good stuff from JR to be able to gather that car up and not spin out in front of the field again. So very fortunate for him to be able to keep it moving forward as Pablo has completed the pass on Frankie, move him back up to P5, and now he works on his 3-second gap up the road to Steve Baker.
Yeah, despite being just past there, Arvello should still be happy with his performance. He started outside the top 10 and is now up into 6th, so it's been a great run for the number 28. The battle for 12th is starting to gear up as well. Hugo Galaz and Andrew Ellis as Victor Awad's had a problem. He's just disappeared off the circuit. He's towed back to the pits. Something horrendous has just happened to him in Dunlop Curve. It's a thing that we've seen happen a couple of times before. Drivers losing it through that corner. And it looks like Victor Awad just had it happen to him as well. The exact same thing that happened to JR Williams.
Oh, no.
Oh my lord. And that's a second place finish lost.
And Victor has had such strong runs lately in the Super Formula Series here in the PRL. Really unfortunate for him to have that issue, but he's not the only one that has had that issue. However, he is the only one that made any contact with that issue. So that's going to be major wheel damage for him in suspension and body damage, and that's probably going to be race over for Victor. That is very unfortunate to see.
Yeah, oh man, my heart breaks for him. He was on for a fantastic result before that happened, but it just goes to show no one is immune from making mistakes around Suzuka. These cars, at the speeds they're going through these corners, once you lose it, it's almost impossible to recover. Well, can Ellis make his way past Hugo Galaz here in the slipstream? Coming through 130R, gains a little bit more. Galaz almost lost it through the corner there, but will stay ahead coming into the chicane. Now Ellis just needs to nail the exit out of the Casio triangle. Middle of the road coming out of the final turn, and looks like Galaz is on overtake here to try and keep the position. This is the battle for 11th place. They've got to keep an eye out behind them. There's Evander Jonesyfield has had a problem as well.
Yeah, it looks like Jonesyfield having an issue exiting the chicane. That's going to unfortunately take him out of that battle for 15th for now. Have to see if he can gather it back up and run those guys back down as we get a replay here of Jonesyfield. Looks like just a slight slide through the exit there, and almost reminiscent of JR through Spoon, but he didn't hit anything, kept it going, so good stuff.
Yeah, just a little bit of wheel spin.
Oh,
He's
no.
recovered from. Oh no, Andrew Ellis. Oh, he was on the verge of jetting away from Hugo Galaz there. He's lost the front wing coming out of the Degner curves. How damaged is the car?
Oh,
Is
no.
the suspension still okay? Oh no, that's
That was
who is that?
Jonesyfield.
Jonesyfield again, and this time the front right is destroyed. Brett Thurman also with an issue. It's all gone off here on lap 18.
Did someone spill oil on the track and not tell us?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm wondering what's
Oh, my
going
goodness.
on here for Andrew Ellis. Just caught the curb on the exit.
Ellis, the looks like the least damage, maybe Thurman the least damage of all the drivers currently having issues. Oh my goodness. What is happening?
Yeah. This is Jonesyfield, and he just got on the green AstroTurf there, spun up the left rear, and around he went with decidedly more damage than Andrew Ellis, who will steadily make his way to the pits to repair some damage. Brett Thurman, meanwhile, on the throttle too early out of Spoon. Rear end just unstable there on the exit.
Well, that was a beautiful pirouette from Brett Thurman not to hit anything, so that was pretty fantastic right there from Brett. Good recovery.
Yeah, indeed. It's always nice when you end up facing in the correct direction after recovering from a spin. So Thurman will immediately get back on the power and try and keep some
As
space
he has
here.
another
As
issue.
Thurman has had another problem out of Degner. It looks like Degner's now the spot for drivers to have spins.
I wonder if they're bottoming out on that exit curb, and that's what's
They must
causing
be.
them to have those issues. This is just wild stuff there, Reese.
Yeah, it is. It was a clean entry into the corner, but yeah, over the curb. They're very harsh sawtooth curbs here at Suzuka. You've got to be careful about how you run across them. If you're on the power coming from a low speed, it's certainly not ideal. Well, it was the same for Jonesyfield as well, as the fight now is between Galaz and Williams. Looks like Jonesyfield has just made his way to the final corners now, and will make his way into the pits cleanly, which is good to see. But we'll keep our eyes here on the battle for 11th. Williams on a massive recovery drive here. And can he get it done on Hugo Galaz? No overtake for J.R. Williams, but he'll have the pace to get up the inside into turn 1 and up into 11th spot.
And now looks like just about 3.2 seconds behind 10th place Brett Thurman, which honestly, I think Brett may have slight damage from tagging that wall, so it shouldn't be too hard for JR to run him down and make that move on him as we move back up to this battle for third between Steve Baker and Pablo Valenzuela. And Pablo just having a really good run here after having a couple of issues early. And, well, it would seem, Reese, that a podium is not out of the question for Pablo after those early issues.
Yeah, the race has come to him. Despite his earlier issues, he's made his way forward. He's on overtake right now and making the move into 130R. The extra power flinging him through the corner, but he almost lost it there through 130R. My lord, that was a huge twitch for the number 32. I'm amazed to see that he recovered that.
Yeah, that was magnificent driving from Pablo there. It looked like the car maybe bottomed out mid-corner and caused him to be unstable there for a second, but fascinatingly enough, he was able to catch the car and wow, just impressive driving from Pablo.
Indeed it was. Well, now up into a podium spot finally after having to fight his way forward since the very start of the race, and I don't think he'll have much of a chance of catching Diaz before the end of the race. Diaz is just too far ahead. 11 seconds is the gap for Valenzuela to the front of the field. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do. We haven't given David Seurat much airtime in this race. He's just been nailing it all the way through. Let's see if he can hold on to this one. Still holding on to the lead by 7 seconds over Diaz. And, I mean, Diaz is one of the quickest drivers in the PRL. So if you've got a pace advantage over him, you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I'm just curious if Diaz is just not pushing at all, just maximizing his championship points efforts, which after Boris having his major issue tonight, I'm pretty sure that's all wrapped up now for Michael, but just a fantastic drive from David all throughout the night. Pole position, has led every lap thus far, kept it clean, no issues, and yeah, just has 7 laps to go.
Cristobal Valenzuela, meanwhile, gets passed by J.R. Williams, and Williams is back into the top 10. This is how it happened. Cristobal, through Spoon, looks like just unstable between the corners, had to slow down and recover. Thurman got through, and Williams was right there to take advantage as well.
Yeah, good job by Cristobal to recover the car and not hit anything or spin completely around. J.R. Williams, like you said, back to P10, now 2 seconds behind P9 of Brett Thurman, which I guess Brett didn't have as much damage as I thought he did, because he is able to maintain his previous pace before that incident.
Yeah, looks like it. And Williams will be driving as hard as he can to try and catch up, move further into the top 10 before the end of the race, try and preserve every point that he possibly can. Of course, with Seurat in the lead, if he finishes in the lead, it's going to make things mighty complicated for Ovando and Williams, second and third in the championship coming into this round. Meanwhile, Neil Alexander is back out on track here and trying his best to find his way past Duhamel and Peterson. But again, we see him at the back of this pack. I mean, he's certainly got a pace advantage. He's been able to keep up with them and gain in many spots. But when it comes to actually making the pass, he's struggling a little.
Well, it's like the age-old saying there, Reese. Catching them is one thing, passing them is another. And unfortunately, we're just seeing that come true to fruition right now for Neil Alexander. Just for whatever reason, cannot figure out how to get around these guys. Has been able to maintain with them, like you said, but just can't get around them.
We'll see if there's any incidents in the last 6 or so laps of the race as push to pass being used there for Sean Duhamel. He is running out. He's got under 20 seconds of overtake remaining, and the clue to that is the light above his head is now blinking slow, blinking red. So he's running out of extra power to use here. This could bring him under an attack from Mr. Peterson. It seems like Neil Alexander has just decided to hang back a little and let these guys fight amongst themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart strategy play. Maybe these guys will have an issue, take each other out, or slide off the track. I certainly witnessed that last night in my Xfinity race at Road America. But hearing now that Duhamel is down to 15 seconds of push to pass left, and that is just a huge disadvantage with still 6 laps to go in this race there, Reese.
Yeah, of course. Peterson is still above the threshold for that red light. He's got a lot more in the tank. Same for Neil Alexander. And Duhamel just a sitting duck now. He's got to be tactical with how he deploys that push to pass. And he'll have to make his car incredibly wide through those prime overtaking opportunities. Valenzuela, meanwhile, Pablo in the 32, taking the fastest lap back once more. It's been a battle between Valenzuela and Sirov for the fastest lap of the race. That's interesting there. Peterson lifting off. I thought he'd be making the move on Duhamel, who's now actually on overtake and using up the last of that extra available power. And he's losing it is Dave Peterson. He's falling behind. Facing some problems. This could be the chance that Neil Alexander needs to get into 14th place. He's on overtake. Same for Dave Peterson, but there's more momentum for the number 27. Wheel to wheel in turn one. They bang wheels and they come together. Airborne for Neil Alexander, and both cars are out.
Oh my goodness. You gotta leave each other space, Reese.
Yeah, you do. I get the feeling that Peterson wasn't quite expecting Alexander to go for the move there. And I mean, it's hard, yes, to hold the outside in turn one, but oh man, I don't really know how to call that, honestly. I mean, he had overlap. He was 50% alongside, so I think Peterson should have given him room, but hard to do at those speeds, and ultimately, both of them out of the race.
Yeah, there wasn't much more room. Neil could have moved to the right there. He was already at the curb. So just getting squeezed a little too much there in turn one. And I think, just should have backed out. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Well, Steve Baker holding on to fourth at the moment, but Frankie Arvello trying to chase him here. They are pretty equal on lap times, and it seems like Arvello was gaining all of his time in Sector 1 on the last lap. Some technical issues for Steve Baker as well. Could still be on for fourth here. Remember, Steve Baker is racing for the AM Class victory here. He's got a great advantage over Jake Vasconcelos. He doesn't want to give up that.
No, he definitely does not. And it's also going to be a fantastic teams point haul for these guys as well, finishing 4th and 5th. So hopefully they don't get too spicy like we saw with Peterson and Alexander and take each other out. But, you know, I think they're probably in the same Discord as well, and they'll talk it out and play fair with each other, as J.R. Williams has finally caught Brett Thurman for P9.
Yeah, look at the gains that Williams made in the last sector. Half a second, and a little bit of wheel spin for both drivers coming out of the hairpin, it seems. Williams is going to get it done here on Brett Thurman. 2 SRTE sub-teams, white versus blue, and it looks like Thurman just let him have it. J.R. Williams is up into 9th place now, and of course Thurman will be aware that Williams is racing for 3rd in the championship, so he wants to try and give J.R. the best chance possible, gain as many points as he can.
Yeah, that's a very good sportsmanship from Brett Thurman for being a teammate, and just you like to see good sportsmanship out there on track whenever you can, and right there was a prime example.
So another spot up for J.R. Williams, up into 9th with 4 laps remaining in the race, coming up to 3 laps to go. David Sirrar currently halfway around his 25th lap at the moment, and he holds on to a 9.5 second lead at the line. It's up to 10 seconds now over Michael Diaz, who's, as we've been saying, Mark, Diaz has just been driving under the limit in this race. It's not the Michael Diaz we're used to seeing, but he's keeping it consistent. He's keeping it safe. He just wants maximum points from tonight.
Yep, he wants to finish the race, 0 issues. That was his goal as of last week, and just seeing that come to fruition tonight. And to be honest, Reese, I didn't see this coming. I didn't see the wild and craziness of Suzuka getting this wild and crazy. We have a third of our field currently out of this race with 7 drivers out. It's just
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, pretty crazy stat there. Yeah, that's 7 cars that are in the garage at the moment. Palacio and McPherson have made it back out on track. They're currently in 18th and 19th, and I would expect that they'll pass Alexander and Peterson for 16th and 17th soon, as remember, Alexander and Peterson both came together in turn 1 just a couple of laps ago. Thurman, meanwhile, that's an error on the exit of 130R. He's falling down the order now too. And, well, fortunately, no traffic in that part of the circuit. But here comes Sean Duhamel. Could be a race on here between Thurman and Duhamel. I'm wondering exactly what happened into 130R there. Did he catch the curb on the exit? Oh, no, he just lost it in the middle of the corner. He was on overtake at the time, and I think the dip when he got to the inside of the corner just unsettled the car.
Yeah, just was not able to hold on to that hard jerk of it, as we're hearing Frank Uravello with an issue. Yeah, he's now 7.5 seconds behind Steve Baker. Here's a replay of it.
Oh, too much curb in Degner 1. That's what happens when you hit that curb. Fortunately, he was able to keep it out of the wall, but that's some crucial time lost there in the battle for 4th.
Yeah, but fortunately, it was only time lost there, Reese. No damage to the car, it looks like. So here's an onboard view of it. Yeah, just too much curb on that right front and just shoots him around. Like you said, these cars have stiff suspensions, so you want to avoid those curbs and those tight corners.
Yeah, particularly at Degner 1, I think that's the most prominent curb on the entire track. It's very easy to overstep the mark there, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more of that tonight. Seems like the mistakes have been happening in other places where I haven't necessarily been expecting them. Well, keep an eye on Thurman and Duhamel here. Thurman trying to recover from his error at around this location on the last lap. Sean Duhamel has had a nice consistent race. He's up 7 spots now. He's one of the drivers that's been able to keep it out of trouble.
Yeah, one of the very few drivers that have been able to keep it out of trouble, it looks like. So, yeah, just doing a good job of keeping it clean and trying to chase down Brett Thurman for that P12 right now. Interestingly enough, now he gets into the draft. Waited really long down the front stretch to get into that draft.
Yeah, indeed. Well, coming up to the white flag here for David Sirah, who's continued to extend his lead here. He's pushing hard, and he's absolutely loving Suzuka right now. Sirah, I believe, was looking forward to this round, and you know, he's certainly had some patchy results this season, particularly back at round 4. He didn't finish the best, but he's been finishing consistently over the course of the season so far. You know, 46 points at rounds 1, 2, and 3, 38 points at round 4, and then 3 48-point finishes in a row at the last 3 rounds of the championship. And if he can keep that fastest lap, he'll come away with maximum points from this round finish. And I'll tell you what, Boris Ovando and J.R. Williams won't be too happy. Both either finishing down the order or retiring. But remember, this is the last round where you can drop your results. So I think this is the first non-points finish for Boris Ovando all season. He'll stay on the same points total, and David Sirah will have to continue dropping that 38-point finish. So might not be on for second in the championship, but potentially for third. We'll have to wait and see on that versus J.R. Williams and David Sirah here. But coming down the back straight for the final time, Sirah will just be cruising to the finish from here. He's using the last of his overtake here, the last of the extra power, just to gain a little bit more over championship leader Michael Diaz, bouncing over the curbs at the chicane, and Sirah will taste the sweetness of victory here at Suzuka. Round 8 of PRL Super Formula goes to Lavoie Motorsports.
What a phenomenal drive from David tonight. Just did not put a single foot wrong. And like I said earlier, one of the very few drivers not to have any issues. Again, very shocking to me that there were so many issues tonight, but just magnificent stuff from David with the hat trick of points. The win, the pole, the fastest lap, got it all done here tonight. As Steve Baker comes across the line in P4. Or is that Frankie Arvello? I believe that was Frankie.
It's Baker who comes across the line in P4 and takes the AM class victory here. JR Williams almost catching Christian Jasper here to the line. It's a drag race between the two of them. It looks like Jasper will just hold on to it by 35 thousandths of a second. A great recovery drive from JR Williams after his spin early in the race. And coming across the line here in 11th will be Hugo Galaz. We only have 13 cars finishing on the lead lap here, the last two being Brett Thurman and Sean Duhamel. That is going to conclude the racing action at Suzuka, but big result for David Sirah here, who will be just taking Suzuka in here on the in lap. Just a lovely, lovely drive from David Sirah. Apparently, we still have one more car out there on track waiting for a finish, but it looks like we can go through the unofficial results here from Suzuka. Sirah by nearly 12 seconds over Michael Diaz, taking victory. Pablo Valenzuela is going to finish in 3rd place. Had to make a few recoveries on the way to it, but congratulations on the podium for the 32. Steve Baker taking the AM class victory. Arvello finishes 5th overall. Vasconcelos and Guyon complete the AM class podium, with Christian Jasper just beating JR Williams to the line on the biggest recovery drive of the race for the number 13. Cristobal Valenzuela, meanwhile, a consistent race up from 16th to 10th.
And in P11 with a nice run from Hugo Galaz. Brett Thurman in P12 in our last car on the lead lap with Sean Duhamel in P13. And then one lap down is Barry Cochran and Andrew Ellis for 14th and 15th. And then 2 or more laps down, we start with Eric Palacio and Kevin McPherson, your last cars running. And then we get into the used car lot there, Reese, of Dave Peterson, Neil Alexander, Evander Jonesyfield, rounding out your top 20 there. And then your final 4 finishers being Victor Aoud, Jeff Groff, Boris Avando, and Andres Espinoza in 24th.
Yeah, Awad Ovando and Espinoza will be kicking themselves after this round. They could have finished in the top 10, maybe even top 5 if they'd held on to it, potentially even a podium for all 3 of them. But they'll have to come away from this with no points. Fortunately, they can drop the result of this 8th round, so it shouldn't hurt their overall championship standing too much. Well, we can get into driver interviews here for the time being, and looks like our race winner isn't here yet, so we'll go in reverse podium order. Pablo Valenzuela Uribe is going to join us in the comms box. Great drive to 3rd, Pablo. You certainly had to work for that.
I can hear you guys. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Last night.
Just getting a couple of things sorted here for Mr. Valenzuela. I'm sure we'll hear him when...
Sorry.
There we go. All right, no worries, Pablo. I was just saying, great drive to 3rd place. You certainly had to work for it.
Yeah, for sure. This track itself is very stressful. Just the layout, the old school layout. The car was pretty good. I have a big mistake on the start of the race. I slipped the clutch a bit. That conditioned a lot my race. I think that if I don't miss the start, I could be in touch with the guys at front. Anyways, David was pretty strong today. But I don't know. It's a great race track. Love it. Was very eventful for my taste. Was very sketchy, really. I don't know how we pull it off.
Yeah, indeed. Well, coming away with a third place finish here, you were fifth in the championship coming into this round, and it looks like you'll continue to drop your 28-point finish from round 2. At the very least, this will potentially bring you in touch with J.R. Williams, who will maybe fall to 4th in the championship after Syrah's victory. So a top 4 in the championship still very much on the cards.
Yeah, for sure. I was aiming a little higher. Was 2 races that were very eventful. The second round on Canada, that was the incident, and the race on Barcelona where I was ill. But anyways, I have enjoyed this championship a lot. The car is amazing. The guys have tremendous levels, so it has been very nice championship and very successful one for the guys and for my team.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we can see you in the championship next season, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you after the final round. Pablo, congratulations on your podium.
Thank you, guys. Let me send greetings for my team, for my cousin in Canada too, that he was always watching, and everyone that is enjoying these races and viewing the races. Thanks a lot.
And thank you, Pablo Valenzuela Uribe, finishing in 3rd here tonight. Mark, you're stood by with championship leader Michael Diaz, who drove a nice calm race to come home in 2nd.
Yeah, sitting here with Michael Diaz. Congratulations, sir, on P2. Looks like you just kind of rode around out there and just kind of kept yourself and made sure the car was clean and came home. Is that what your goal was tonight?
Definitely come home. The car was a handful after the practice session, so it was trying to kill me most of the time. So I saw I had a nice gap to 3rd, and from that point I was just chill and bring it home.
Gotcha. Yeah, you definitely didn't want to risk anything with the championship fight. But now that your closest competitor, Boris Avando, had his major issue ending his race early, does that give you a sigh of relief as far as your championship hopes next week?
I mean, we still can't drop the last round, so I definitely got to finish. But it's looking good. It's looking good.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. Do you have anyone that you want to thank for your performance tonight?
Well, absolutely the team, Boris, Steve, Frankie, and the rest of the guys at the Soul Pick PRE. And yeah, just shout out to those guys tonight, and you guys for the broadcast.
Well, we appreciate that, Michael, and congratulations on your P2 finish tonight here at Suzuka, and we look forward to seeing you on track next week for the championship finale.
Yeah, for sure, guys. You have a good night. I'll try to get a podium next week. Keep that streak going. It looks nice.
Well, I'll hold you to it.
All right, guys. Later.
See ya.
Brilliant job from Michael Diaz to finish 2nd, but all the accolades must go to David Syrah, who's managed to come home with victory here at Suzuka. You must feel good about that one, David. Winning by nearly 12 seconds. You couldn't be caught today.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Thanks to La Voix Motorsport and Ancestral Urbain. Alex and I worked hard on the setup to try to understand the car and getting some speed. I knew I was quick in qualification, but we are struggling with the race pace. But tonight, I was not expecting to get the pole, but I was very happy about that. And after that, I don't know what happened behind me, because I was not expecting to dig the gap that much.
Yeah, indeed. It seemed like you guys actually nailed the race setup here tonight. What was the greatest challenge that you faced on your way to victory here?
After 5 or 6 laps, the rear of the car, I started to lose the grip at the rear of the car, so it was a bit twitchy to drive in the second half of the race. And I was lucky Victor retired, because I could manage tire rear after that.
Well, You got pole, got the fastest lap, and led every lap on the way to a win here, David. And with the issues that Boris Ovando and J.R. Williams faced, you could be looking at third in the championship, depending on how the final round goes for you. So, yeah, there's a lot to play for in the season finale next week.
Yeah, if I finish in the top 3, I will be very happy because Alex and I didn't know this car at the beginning of the season. We had to learn to how to set up it and adapt it to our driving style. And finishing in the top 3, it would be wonderful for us.
It certainly would. Well, we send our congratulations to you, David, and hopefully chat to you again coming out of the final round at Circuit of the Americas.
Thank you.
David Sirrar with a great victory there. And last but not least, Mark, Steve Baker, 4th place and the AM class win.
Yeah, congratulations, Steve, on your overall 4th place and amateur class 1st place victory. How do you feel after tonight's race, man?
It was a handful, so glad it's over.
Yeah, it was definitely looking like a handful for a lot of drivers tonight. Had a lot more issues than anyone anticipated from a viewing standpoint. But yeah, you've really come on strong late in this season with some really good pace in the race. Just had some unfortunate finishes here lately, but you've got to be feeling good about getting this amateur victory or amateur class win after all those heartbreak finishes going into next week at COTA.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of COTA, so happy to end the season off at that track. That should be fun, but pretty excited with the run tonight. Glad to bring it home in one piece, and like you said, have a good finish. Yeah, we just struggled in a few places, and those guys up front were blistering fast. Would have been cool to have a podium, but those top 3 guys were flying. So super happy with a 4th, and we'll hope to have a good one next week too.
Now, speaking of next week, Steve, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to about COTA? Do you like like the track layout, or do you think you have good speed in the car for there, or what are your thoughts about COTA for next week?
Yeah, it's just one I'm more familiar with, and I don't know, there's so much variation at that track. I've always found it a lot of fun, even though it's pretty challenging, but yeah, just a fun one.
Well, we look forward to seeing you out there on track next week at COTA, and hopefully we get to talk to you again next week as well. And congratulations again on your AM class win and 4th overall tonight here at Suzuka.
Thanks, guys.
Brilliant stuff from Steve Baker, once again head and shoulders on pace above a lot of the AM field here tonight. Well, that's going to conclude our broadcast for tonight, Mark. We go to COTA, of course, next week. A very difficult circuit indeed, but the kind of track that's been built for these kinds of cars.
Yeah, it is very purpose-built for open-wheel style racing, and should be a very good race. Just also want to point out real quick, Reese, that returning driver signups for all you viewers out there are currently open for next season's racing. And for you viewers that want to maybe join the PRL for next season, those signups will open up this Sunday evening.
Indeed they will. Get on it, everybody. The racing is fantastic all through PRL leagues, all through the week, and they'll all be broadcast on RaceSpotTV. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Reese Gardner, Mark Kalin with me in the comms box, Dustin Ollis, the button pusher behind the scenes. We'll see you next week at Circuit of the Americas.